more seconds. But while you wait, you know all that stuff that gurus charge all of that money?
This is Dabu7. I want to bring to your attention here a document and some things that have just went into motion per October 3rd, where the military apparently has signed off on what they're calling manpower guidance and activation and deactivation of reserve component Marines, or RC Marines, ordered to active duty ISO defense support of civil authorities. Now, to break that down to you, this is basically saying that these guys are going to be moved to active duty here on American soil to protect civil authorities. Something huge is brewing. There's no other way around it. They are basically saying from this point forward, this is authorized. They also go on to state, which is pretty crazy, they say that all of this can happen very quickly, and it will come with little warning. They say that requests for federal assistance will come with little warning. As required, the Marine Corps must rapidly mobilize RC units and personnel IAW in this order to respond to threats in the homeland.
Alright, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Rakakwadash. Never long to the elders, the apostles of great millstone, that rule well, and peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Who is in his gospel, broad love and understanding of Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. What you're witnessing here is this is the website for Marines. The official Marine website of the United States Marine Corps. And this is the spirit that this is coming out, because this article was actually sent to me over the weekend, and I was asked to, expound on it through the spirit. Now, I wasn't, my spirit was on to do this lesson. I was gonna actually put it off because, just the spirit, just meditating on it more. But when I went on the YouTube, this video popped up, and I didn't even know it existed. So that was the spirit of the Lord telling me to go ahead and go in on it and, give some insight on it, and what it correlates to, for you brothers out there that's into prophecy. Now, this guy Dabu7, he's not in the truth. Okay, he's not. I believe he's believe in America, make America great again. He believes in the American power structure. He believes in this country thriving. For patriotism, which we are patriots for Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai. All right, because really you're supposed to be patriot towards your family, not a corporation. Now, with that being said, he's kind of elaborating on how the United States military is going to be active on the U.S. soil, and according to the Constitution, that's really off, because according to the Constitution, you're not supposed to have a standing army within 2 hours of the city limits on deck. Okay, only time like a National Guard being deployed. That's the first pretty much that's going to be deployed in case of a national emergency, is the National Guard. But nonetheless, you're not supposed to have active military troops dispatched all over a city or a state or even a world, so to speak. That's why they say that they occupy certain lands. Because that's considered a threat of war or some type of takeover. Now, it says here, these are the codes here. It says here the manpower guidance or subject manpower guidance for activation and deactivation of reserve components, Marines ordered to active duty defense support of civil authorities. Okay, under the Doc Title 10, which goes into the USC 31 back into December 2011. Okay, and then you got also a Title 42, which deals with like civil suits or like city ordinance, etc., which means that they have the right or so-called right to occupy within city limits in case something goes down. All right, without technically a civil suit against them, because if you file a Title 42 lawsuit, say for instance, if a cop come up and violate your rights or harass you or beat the hell out of you, you can file a Title 42 lawsuit against the city of Kansas City, Chicago, or New York, or whatever you deem necessary in order to file a complaint. But in this case, they're totally justified doing what they're gonna do. All right, and I believe through the spirit that something is getting ready to happen, because nowhere in hell, article come out the other day and stated that America is over $400 trillion in debt off paper. And my thing is they may getting ready to bankrupt the economy. Drop the dollar, and when you drop the dollar, then the world's markets can possibly collapse, which is going to bring in chaos, or they may stage some type of terrorist attack in one of these cities to be justified on rolling on quote unquote domestic terrorists. And when we say domestic terrorism, we know what they are equating to. All right, but it says here, joint travel, Marine Corps roles and responsibilities in defense support of civil authorities, Army Reserve, Navy Reserve, Marine Corps Reserve, Air Force Reserve, ordered to active duty to provide assistance in response to a major disaster or emergency. Okay, and we're gonna actually go into what civil authorities mean and what it is, because it's more than just your police task force or your SWAT team or your FBI. It goes a little bit in depth in that. But nonetheless, I'm gonna play the video, and we're gonna let him give his insight on it. And we're gonna back up the takeover through the scriptures. Lord's will is be edified, and not too drug out lesson. We're just gonna hit the points and do what we gotta do. So with that, here we go.
This has nothing to do with overseas. Every bit of the writing says point blank, it has to do with homeland right here. People have tried to scoff at things in the past like Jade Helm or other big military things that have went down, but this is not one to overlook. They are putting it right there, front and center, making the statement. And this means that they are anticipating nothing short of a civil war, an asteroid impact, an earthquake, tsunami, eruption from a volcano, some kind of major disaster is going to end up hitting that they see coming in the offing. I lived through that fateful September of 2001. I don't forget.
Alright, man, who gives a shit, okay? Anyway,
I sat here on this platform for years trying to tell people to get it together before the next one goes down. I hope you have a plan, folks. I'll leave links below. A lot more interesting talk in here where they start to say that global sourcing requests cannot be considered by DCMRA due to rapid deployment required to prevent the loss of life and non-applicability of dwell. Dwell time is the amount that a person gets to go home to friends and family to get a break from war zones. They're basically saying loss of life and non-applicability of dwell. Like they're not going to get it? Very.
Well, no, because that's a spirit. Because last year, there's two guys that worked with me. One guy got sent to the border. He said that his assignment is a whole year. He's not coming back until March of next year. And one guy just got deployed 2 weeks ago. Now, I don't know where he went. I'm assuming he's still on the soils of America, and he may be partaking within this order here, because like I said, man, he went into the whole Jade Help 15. And if you go into that whole thing of Helter Skelter, or you go into Rex 84, and also the Project Megiddo plan, these different plans that they have set up against so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites, then you will see why they are getting ready to deploy these forces on American soil, which I believe a lot of them through the spirit is going to be teamed up with these UN troops too, because if you've been looking at the videos, it's been a lot of freight from UN, like MRAPs and tanks and all that other stuff that's being transported from overseas to America. Okay, because it even tells you right here, it says to major disaster or emergency. Reference C is Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance. Okay, and they're giving you these, what you call the color of law. They're giving you these particular codes and statute codes that this thing is in fact legal. But if you look up all these within your Constitution and you go into the codes or the clauses of these laws, you would know that a lot of them are actually not even really indicted into law. It's under what you call the color of law, which appears to be legal and legit, but it's not. Okay, because really you're not supposed to be able to add anything to the Constitution or take away, but a lot of times they've been chipping away at it for so long. And then you got our people that get totally bent out of shape because they feel their rights are being violated. Well, for one thing, the Constitution was really written for Edomites. It wasn't written for you Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Because even Jefferson, Washington, Lincoln, they all had slaves, and they all pretty much hated so-called black people. All right, they didn't care, because even Lincoln said, he said if he had his way, he wouldn't free a so-called Negro slave. He said it wasn't in his intention to free the Negroes, man. All right, so all you guys talking about Honest Abe this, Honest Abe that, then you completely bugged out, you know. But it says Army Reserve, Navy Reserve, Marine Corps, Air Force ordered to active duty to provide assistance in response to a major disaster or emergency. So let's just say if they decide to let's say if they decide to assassinate somebody of high caliber, or let's just say if they blew up a federal court, staged a bomb there, and they allegedly used a face of a Muslim, let's say that were Arab, they can be justified on deploying these extremities to the streets or to your cities, which will declare martial law, and they will occupy your cities, man. And you have a curfew. If you get caught outside that, hey, they can hold you indefinitely. You know what I mean? They can take away what they call, what is it, habeas corpus or something to that degree. But basically, they can hold you without a trial, which is pretty much being detained indefinitely. You know, and that's the spirit, because I believe Saturday night, a club out here, or a lounge out here in Kansas City, Missouri, got shot up. I believe 4 people died, 5 people were injured. So a total of 9 people were injured, with 4 being deceased. And they showed the mug shots, and guess what? There were 2 so-called Hispanics. I never known Issachar or Ephraim to really just go up in a place and shoot it up unless it's gang related. But this wasn't, you know, the type of crowd that'd be here. I doubt if it's some type of gang banging act. I mean, you got all walks of life, but nonetheless, they're pushing the Israelites as being the face of terrorism, domestic terrorism, and that's what it's all about. Okay, so expect a lot of more shootings, a lot of more things to ramp up the pace as to why draconian laws are going to fully be established here in America. You know, and another thing, brothers, man, this is why, you know, we stress the point. If you're going to go out, always go with somebody. If you're going out to a lounge or something and you ain't meeting a young lady, you know, then, hey, you don't need to be rolling by yourself. You know, I mean, that if you do it, that's on you, but it's not circumspect. And honestly, we shouldn't be going, brothers, you know, shouldn't be going out to these places anyway, because things are getting ready to turn up out here. And let's just say, Lord's will, that luckily that was the Sabbath, because, you know, brothers like to go out and do things, they like to have drinks, they like to go out to eat and hang out, you know, maybe go to a pool hall or something like that, you know, or sometimes come to each other's homes. But that's the spirit. It's a Shabbat that, you know, brothers wasn't really in that spirit of feasting, because that happened. Let's just say if it wasn't the Sabbath that Saturday, what one of the brothers would have went down there and got caught up in that. That's why, honestly, you shouldn't be going to these places, man. Like, no clubs. We don't do clubs. You know what I'm saying? And any brothers that's doing a club, man, you need to question yourself. You know, you may go to a bar, or if you feel like you want something to drink, go to the store, buy you a bottle of liquor, and take your ass home. You know what I'm saying? Why spend more money at a bar, you know what I'm saying, when you ain't got to? You know, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. Or you go to a restaurant set and they got a bar, but nonetheless, they finna start just tearing this place down systematically, piece by piece. All right, so matter of fact, I'm gonna get into the scriptures. I'm not trying to rant, but anyway, I looked up on Wikipedia a defense support of civil authorities, and it gives you here, it says it's the process by which the United States military assets and personnel can be used to assist in missions normally carried out by civil authorities. So basically, let's just say a police officers go to house doing a search raid, because a lot of times if you got a known criminal or some type of mugging or murder in the neighborhood, sometimes the police will perform a door-to-door search. They may knock on your door and say, hey, have you seen such and such? But they said in this case, it says United States military assets and personnel can be used to assist in missions normally carried out by civil authority. So it means that the military can go door to door knocking to detain or to seek out an investigation. Like going back into the Boston bombings, hey, the city of Boston was under martial law. Okay, they was conducting door-to-door searches, which that was a hoax. All right, because we know that was staged to get the people to accept this type of order out of chaos. Okay, they come up, they create the problem, come up with the solution, and then they solve it. You know what I mean? It's order out of chaos. It's basically them playing both sides of it. So therefore, if they decide to blow up a skyscraper, they'll plant the bomb to be justified on bringing in martial law to come with the solution. Okay, and it says here, these missions have including responses to natural made man disasters, which shows you that Esau, he do like things like the Hurricane Katrina, the Gulf of Mexico, the oil spill, these different volcanic eruptions, these different tsunamis, etc. That whole Hurricane Dorian type thing, which pretty much depleted the whole island of the Bahamas, And it says here, to man-made disasters, law enforcement support, special events, and other domestic activities. Because when you go into domestic, it goes into local, okay, your local states, and they're basically stating that Hebrew Israelites, they're demonizing us. They're calling us domestic terrorists, etc. They're calling us these things, and pretty much look what's happening. They're going to be active any day. And this order, I believe, when the article came out, I believe October 3rd, which the order is supposed to be enacted sometime next week, if I'm not mistaken. But this shows you here, when they say domestic, they're watching. You know what I'm saying? So brothers, be very circumspect when you go out to the camps. Try not to engage in any type of physical altercations with people unless it's necessary. But we ain't out there to fight nobody. But just be careful. You never know. You could be talking to an undercover CIA operative that's looking to get intel on you. To put a case on you, man. Because that's what they're about. Because Esau's the devil. All right. And he's doing anything he can to try to stop this word from going. Okay. It says here, a recent example of the use of the DSCA is the military response to Hurricane Katrina. And we know that they blew the levees, and then, one thing led to another. But it says the DSCA is the overarching guidance of how the United States military can be requested by a federal, by a federal agency, and that the procedures that govern the actions of the military during deployment. Okay, because they got the Directorate of the Military Support for Domestic Operations, who is the functional process of the DSCA, which is located inside of each state's Joint Operations Center. Wow. Okay. So then you got here the going down. It says Military Cooperation with Civil Law Enforcement Agencies Act. Okay. Then it says providing support to civil authorities cannot impair the ability of the military to conduct its primary mission. So if they looking for a particular threat, they gotta see it to the end. It says it is also critical to understand that the military is always in a supporting role and never the lead. But hey, they gonna take over in that day. You ain't got nothing. The police, man, please. And then this is the main one, FEMA. It says on the civilian side, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, better known as FEMA, is the main federal responder when a disaster overwhelms a state, or when a state exhausts all of its resources or is lacking a unique capability during a disaster. It will turn to the federal government for assistance. It says the agency will usually respond and will coordinate the overall federal efforts by will be FEMA. Alright. It says so basically, man, this is basically in a nutshell martial law. Okay, so if they enact this, then hey, you already know the whole constituents behind it. But anyway, let's go to the scriptures here. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 6, and I'm gonna start at verses 14. And this is what's gonna cause them to deploy the troops. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for their sword and their destruction draweth nigh. One people should stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another." This is basically global anarchy here. This is chaos. This is your riots, your class riots, your race riots. Like they showed you that in the movie Joker, it was pretty much class riots against the rich. And it says here, invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions should stand in their power. And a man should desire to go into a city, and he should not be able to, okay, because you're going to have martial law. You'll have checkpoints set up on your highways, your local roadways, your back roads, etc. Helicopters patrolling the circumference, etc. And it says, for because of their pride, the city should be troubled, and the houses should be destroyed, and men should be afraid. And a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and of great tribulation, which goes into a time of trouble that we're entering into. via the RFID chip. And this can be one way that they force to enact the RFID chip, through military takeover. Once the masses of the people comply with it, but you're going to have a certain group of people that's going to revolt against it. And when Esau Edom's desperate to get his new world order off the ground, he's going to activate the troops, man, to come and force this chip upon you. If he got to give it to you or detain you in a FEMA camp to get you to accept the mark of the beast, that's what he's going to do. Okay?
Interesting piece that was just put out here through the DOD, and effectively, it's the Navy making the call on this one for the Marines and the Navy units. You can see right here, it says that this is a memo established from the Department of Navy Policy. So, I'm going to leave a link. You can read into this more. This is from Marines.mil. Follow me on Twitter for more, y'all. It's been Dabu7. Eyes open.
Alright, so this is the book of Ezekiel 23 and 23. It says here, matter of fact, let's start at verses 22. It says, therefore, Aholabah, thus says the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will raise up thy lovers against thee, because these are all the nations that the nation of Israel committed fornication with. Okay, it says, from whom thy mind is alienated, and I will bring them against thee on every side, the Babylonians and all of the Chaldeans, Pekod and Shoah and Koah, and all the Assyrians with them, and all of them desirable young men, okay, full of vigor, full of valor, captains and rulers, great lords and renowned, all of them riding upon horses, which your horses goes into your military equipment, your vehicles, your MRAPs, your police, your SWAT vehicles, your tanks, etc. And it says, and they should come against thee with chariots, wagons, and wheels, and with an assembly of people which should be set against thee, buckler and shield and helmet round about. And I will set judgment before them, and they should judge thee according to their judgment. So it's going to be bad out here. According to Jeremiah the 16th chapter, man, the Lord said that, look, man, the dead should be cast out as dung. So you jakes out there that's all into this Christian theology, that's playing games, man, you want to worship sweet Jesus, hey, the Most High got a special judgment coming for you, man. All right, it ain't going to be pretty on you Israelites. It's going to be bad, man. It's going to be a time. Look, scriptures tell you that Rachel was weeping for her children. Okay, that's how bad it's going to get out here, and it's not going to be pretty. All right, so this is the book of Ezekiel 7:1. It says, moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, also thou son of man, thus says the Lord Yahweh unto the land of Israel, and in the end is come upon the four quarters of the land. Now is the end come upon thee, and I will send my anger upon thee, and will judge thee according to thy ways, and recompense unto thee all thy abominations. Okay, so the Lord requires your blood. Okay, he requires a sacrifice because of you've been sacrificing it to other gods. You haven't acknowledged Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and that you're the Israelites. Okay, and like this whole thing with both them Gene and the Gene family. Okay, how they want to forgive that Edomite cunt. All right, which we believe it was a psyop, it was paid off. But nonetheless, man, that's really the mindset of Jake. But then you got some Jakes that's waking up, because when I looked at the video of the Aunt Jemima nigga wench give the Edomite devil the Bible, a lot of Jakes was on there like, man, you got to be out your damn mind. I wouldn't dare forgive that devil. So Jake is coming back to the senses as to that this system is against them. Okay, they know that this system is not set up for their stead. But nonetheless, Jake is trying to find a way to supplant the system that's already been built around you, man. It's been built to fortify you inside. Okay, it's like a fortress that you can't crack the code to, and you Jake's gonna realize that through hardship and austerity, man. When it comes to you being you're gonna be killed, like you're gonna be killed mercilessly. Your neighborhood, you're just gonna go through these old hoods, man. You're gonna see dead hundreds of thousands of bodies just laying on the street of so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, their wives, their mothers, their fathers, their kids, the newborn baby. You're gonna have babies dead in the street, man, because you refuse to understand what the Lord is telling you through his men. Okay, and it's gonna get scary out here. All right, and it says here, and my eyes shall not spare thee, neither would I have pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thy abominations should be in the midst of thee, and ye should know that I am the Lord. Okay, so you're going to know that the Lord is behind this, and that he's going to smite you Jakes. All right, because you've been high on the hog for too long. All right, you've been getting away with murder. Okay, and nonetheless, you still refuse to see who the enemies are. And it says, and thus says the Lord Yahweh, an evil and only evil is, behold, is come, and the end is come. The end is come. Watch it for thee, because it is come. All right, and we're warning you. We're telling you that the end is coming, man. We're telling you that the people are gonna come against you, so-called or you tribes out here. Okay. And it says, and violence is risen up until the rod of wickedness, and none of them shall remain, nor of their multitude, nor of any of theirs, neither shall there be dwelling for them. But the time is come, the day draweth near, and let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn. For the wrath is upon all the multitude thereof, and for the seller shall not return to that which is sold, all that they were yet alive. For the vision is touching the whole multitude thereof, which should not return, neither shall any strengthen himself in the iniquity of his life. All right. So there you go, man. Hey, it's going to be to the point that everything is going to be shut down. And according to their laws or to their statute codes, that the government have access and rights to any and everything, including businesses, homes, cars, whatever they need, they can use it. Okay. 2nd Ezra 16 is 72. All right. And it says, and they have blown the trumpet even to make all ready, but none goeth to battle. Before my wrath is upon the multitude thereof, and the sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within, and he that is in the field should die with the sword. Okay, because even if you go trying to run out to the wilderness, man, they got those them tracker copters, man, that can detect your heat sensors, man. So if you running in the woods and it's pitch black, man, off your heat sensors, those helicopters, man, they can pick up on your body sensors, man. You know, you may glow up white in a pitch black forest, and they can just send a drone to gun you down. So it ain't gonna do you no good to run out to the wilderness. You know, even though it's the best place to be if you're lucky, but nonetheless, you're going to have the Spirit of the Lord on you in order to survive this thing. All right? This thing is only elect. This is the elect men's game. All right? This ain't a typical man's game here. All right? Because it's going to be a slaughter fest on you tribes, especially after the race riots, etc. When you start getting at these Edomites at them race riots, hey, they going to deploy these troops to just gun you down. You know, because you're gonna win the fight. I mean, you're gonna turn up on Esau. That's biblical, but nonetheless, hey, at the end of the day, you ain't got enough power to fight the military. And that's when we come into play. Lord's will, we have that number. You know. But it says, and it says, and the field should die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. But they that escape of them should escape, and should be on the mountain like doves of the valleys, and all of them mourning, everyone for his iniquity, and all hands should be feeble, and all knees should be as weak as waters. And they shall also gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror should cover them. And it says horror, man. All right, horror should cover them. Meaning this is going to be a horrific event, like the scriptures tell you that this is something that has not been since the world has begun. And basically these codes and these laws that they're putting in place, these different draconian laws they're putting in place to activate the military, this is the start of Jacob's trouble, man. They ain't just putting military on the streets because they suspect Al Qaeda blowing. So no, man, it's bigger than that. Okay, this is a war declared on our people. All right, and if you other nations are in the midst, hey, you gonna get caught up in it too. Because don't think for 1 second Esau ain't gonna throw his own people in the FEMA camp, because hey, he got to look at these Christian militias, these Christian rebel groups, the Bible Belt Christians, the ones that know that martial law is coming and that the RFID chip is the mark of the beast. He's at them too. Anybody that speaks out against his new world order, this is what this whole thing is all about. Okay? And it says here, and horror should cover them, and shame should be upon all faces, and baldness upon their heads. All right? So it's going to be bad out here, bro. You know? It's going to be bad out here, man. You know, and hey, let us be the one to tell you, because hey, we're trying to save our own hide, so to speak. All right, so let me go from here to the book of Luke, 21st chapter. I think it's 21, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, it is Luke 21. All right, so this is the book of Luke 21, and I'm gonna start at verses 19. It says, "And your patience possess ye your souls, because during this time, when it's actually officially enacted martial law, when this place is actually getting to the crisis of being shut down, that's when they're gonna try to roll on the men of the Lord. Okay, that's when they're gonna really try to roll on us and hem us up. You know what I'm saying? While in the midst of all this is going down, they're gonna try to hem us up. You know, because when they're justified on making their move, they coming right after the prophets, man. They already know what we look like, what we talk. They know where we work. They know everything. And it ain't like we hiding from we ain't hiding from these people. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like we're hiding from it. But hey, we gonna need the Spirit of the Lord to really help us maneuver in that day. Because the scriptures say you're gonna be like pilgrims on the earth. So going to that standard that the Lord is gonna lift in us, the spiritual power and also the means of escape and survival. When it says the Lord should lift up a standard against him, he's going to give us the means to avoid these devils and to be able to get out of Dodge, man. Because hey, the Lord may give you a vision the night before martial law was actually attacked officially in Babylon, and hey, the Lord may tell you through a dream, like, hey, they told you how it was shot. That angel came and said, well, look, take the kid and go down to Egypt, because they seek his life and they fled. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna have like things like that, like little spiritual trinkets in our ears, so to speak, to tell us, look, get out of Dodge. You may actually have a actual official commissioner of the police that may not be with the New World Order. You may end up running into him and you're gonna say, look, dude, man, y'all might want to get out of town because tomorrow is finna go down. And he will know because he's an insider, and you need to believe that, man, and get the hell out of there, because that's the Lord sending a spirit of an angel or a spirit through that man to warn you to get out of here. And then some of us are just gonna get caught up in it because that's our lot. So if you go up a couple of chapters, but it says, and when you should see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Okay, armies, Jerusalem represents the Israelites now, because we're not in the physical land of Jerusalem. All right, Jerusalem goes into the people, your neighborhoods, etc. All right, because your neighborhoods are going to be circumvented through armies and military forces, the UN, okay, some of the United States personnel, which a lot of those United States Marines, etc., won't have the, they don't have the guts to really kill their own people. So a lot of them are going to be shipped out to the Middle East in World War III, but they're going to have to import troops here because it's going to be global chaos over here. They're going to need something to pretty much die down anarchy over here. So they're going to have some type of police force that's patrolling this society in itself. Because their military, the United States Army, they ain't going to be able to go door to door putting bullets in people's head, man. I just don't see it that way. That's why when we read in Ezekiel the 23rd chapter, it mentioned all those different nations, including the Babylonians, which is, your modern day Americans. All right. And it says, and then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains, and let them which are in the midst depart out of it, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. Though this is talking about during the time of the Masada, Titus and Vespasian. But it says, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Okay, so the scriptures is jumping back to the past and to the immediate future. It's kind of a timeline thing. And it says, but woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there should be great distress in the land and the wrath upon this people, and they should fall by the edge of the sword, and should be led away captives into all nations, which this has already happened. Okay, and this is the result of us being in the different kingdoms of the earth because of the 70 AD when Israel was dispersed, falling away. All right. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, the 6th chapter, and I got one more precept after this, and I'm gonna shut it down. I think the point is being made, and that you, Akim, had got the point. But this is the book of Jeremiah 6, and I'm gonna start verses 21. It says, therefore thus says the Lord, behold, I will lay stumbling blocks before this people, and the fathers and the sons together shall fall upon them, and the neighbor and his friend shall perish. Okay, because like I said, man, when they take over the neighborhoods, or when they come in, they're going to come in as a flood. Okay, they're going to come in 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, sometimes 12. They come in at night. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've been having drills, like the Jade Ham, they have drills, and they have what you call mock cities. Sometimes they be having drills 2 or 3 in the morning. And the drill may kick in doors, do raids, and they are targeting at certain people. And it says here, thus says the Lord, behold, a people coming from the north country, and a great nation should be raised from all the sides of the earth. And they should lay hold on bow and spear, and are cruel, and have no mercy, and their voice roared like the sea. And they ride upon horses set in array as men for war against thee, O daughter of Zion. This is the military takeover. This is the military right here that we're reading about. All right. And it says, and we have learned of the fame thereof, and our hands wax feeble, and anguish taketh hold on us, and pain as a woman in travail. So go not forth into the field, nor walk by the way, for the sword of the enemy and fear is on every side. Okay, So there you go, man. We already read what's going to happen if you go into the field. The sword is going to get you. But, O daughter of my people, gird thee with sackcloth, and wallow thyself in ashes, and make thee mourning as for an only son, most bitter lamentation. For the spoiler shall suddenly come upon us. And that spoiler in the modern day terms is Esau Edom. Goes into the murderer, the wicked one. Alright? And one more precept here. This is the book of Isaiah 54, I think it's 59 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, this is the book of Isaiah 59 and 19. It says, so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and we're in the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, which is the east. When the enemy should come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord should lift up a standard against him. That word standard goes into a means of escape. Alright, so anyway, with that, our spiritual power, because brothers are going to get anointed with the spiritual power as well to, defend, to pretty much defend themselves in that day. We're going to need it, because we don't have the power or the means of escape, and we don't stand a chance out here. But anyway, with that, all praises and glory, honor that's due to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, a great millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful alike. Noise in this gospel broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, wherever it may be. And with that, shalom and a baba.